Joining us on the Hello and Welcome podcast is Canadian national team cricketer Rayyan Pathan. Canada is playing in the T20 World Cup right now in a very, very tough group, I might add. But Ray, you were joining us from the road. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Enjoying the festivities of the World Cup. Can't complain, brother. How are you?
Yeah, so I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I got a lot of friends in my life that are hitting me up with links to watch cricket every other day. This friend of mine might be Pakistani, so he might be a little upset right now. I'm not exactly
Yeah,
happy with how the tournament's
yeah,
going.
yeah.
But yeah, this is Canada's first ever time participating. So for you, how's the experience been?
It's been amazing for a Canadian to be playing in the World Cup against some of the guys like we grew up watching playing, and they got big names in the world. Like we played Pakistan the other day. Kind of surreal moment that we get to play on the same field as them because it's a very rare opportunity for us to showcase our talents as well. So I have no complaints. The weather's a little gloomy right now in Florida, so hopefully we play India on Saturday, it clears up, but no complaints.
Yeah, so you got started the tournament really well. Got a lot of texts about the win against Ireland. Take me through that and just the emotions heading into the match, and also when you guys realized that it was probably in the bag for you guys.
Yeah,
How did
yeah.
that feel?
Yeah, because the first game against USA, we honestly were on top, and we should have won that game, and we let it slide. So we knew going into an early game that we were playing well as a team, and we had a good opportunity to win that game, especially their full test nation, meaning like their full members. Like Canada's associated, so we're just like a level below them. But on this platform is for us to showcase that Canada can play at that level as well. So when we went into the game, we were confident and we played very well. And the bowlers did their job, and we defended it a total. And yeah, no complaints. It was a very very surreal moment for a Canadian.
Yeah, I mean, so as part of this tournament, when you're at the World Cup, you're going to face obviously the best teams in the world.
Yeah.
What's the feeling like when you're, again, as you mentioned, you're playing against players that are obviously world renowned, really famous. You've watched them a lot. Like, is there a little bit of that? Like, I don't know. Take me through the emotions of that as an athlete.
Yeah, like of course, like it's like in basketball terms, we'll say like if I'm playing against LeBron James and
Yeah.
I'm from like a country that the sport is not that big in, right? So when you see them, you obviously you're gonna have a little fan moment, but at the end of the day, you're also here to do a job. So you have to go and like do your job. At the end of the day, you gotta take that I'll say fanboy part out of you and make sure you go do your job in front of you because that will affect your play if you're thinking that you're playing against bigger players. Because at the end of the day, we're still playing on the same field. The ball is still white. Our bats look the same. So I don't think there's like should be any differences. Have confidence in all the preparations that we've done and go give your best.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wanted to go a little bit in terms of just the background of you growing up in Canada, and sort of what the infrastructure was like. So I know for me, growing up in Canada, like at least sort of in the circles that I ran in, like I didn't really see a lot of like infrastructure for people to be able to play cricket. Actually, one of my lasting memories is like driving by parking lots in Mississauga and always seeing some people playing parking lot cricket. Tell me
Like
through.
table cricket.
Yeah. So tell me
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit about like what that infrastructure was like, playing cricket in Canada and grew up in Canada.
Yeah, like so I was born and raised in Toronto, so like all my cricket has been from grassroots level to up to under 15, under 19 into the senior side. Yeah, like it's been tough, obviously, because the funding is not there for the sport that it should be. It's the same thing with basketball as well. When they early on came in before Vince Carter really took us to the next level. Then they started making the outside basketball courts and like the parks and recs used to take the rims off, not the rims. They put the rims back on.
Yeah.
Like I've been through all of that, especially where I grew up too. But yeah, it's gotten a lot better. Even during the time, there was a lot of cricket going on. Even now, like there's so much cricket, but it's the facilities that matter the most. The parks, the grass, the wickets that we play on. It was tough, but like if you put in we can't complain because in a country that hockey is the number one sport, and we're still getting to play the sport that we love. We just go show up on whatever pitches that we play on. Used to play on like ripped carpets. We didn't used to have like natural turf.
Yeah.
It was kind of tough to be honest, right? But it has come a long way since I was like a junior to now. So like and especially the win against Ireland will hopefully help us even further, where it can show that the Canadians are on the top level. We are winning games, and that will the government will see and then hopefully fund more so that our grassroots can come up and we get more into schools and things like that. But yeah, it was tough, man. It was very tough conditions. That's why when the conditions are tough here, we do well because we're already used to tough conditions. And then the top teams, they play on such good conditions. When it gets tough, they're like, what was going on?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, it's one of those situations.
Well, I mean, how are you seeing that change over time? Like, you've been playing for, most of your life, obviously,
Yeah.
but how have you seen the conditions change on that front?
Because so the cities like city of Brampton, city of Toronto, city of Toronto used to have like the biggest like cricket fraternity. I'll say like all the guys used to play in Toronto, but over time, obviously, with people coming in, playing more cricket, city of Brampton has taken like the front step of where they have like the best facilities now. They take care of the grounds, and they're putting more money into it because we also play global T20 tournament, which is probably our biggest domestic tournament,
Yep.
where international players come in and they play in Brampton, and the mayor supports cricket a lot. So it's come a long way. We finally have lights at some cricket grounds that we could play at nighttime as well. It's like baseball diamonds with the lights.
Yep.
So it's improved so much. Before we used to play like 2 games a week. Now you can play about 6, 7 games a week, night games, morning games, evening games. So it's come such a long way, and like us participating in the World Cup is just gonna help us more further.
Yeah, I can only imagine, like, with more infrastructure and the talent that's here available, like, you're able to grow it and make the game even better. But, yeah, what you guys doing right now is actually really, really crucial in terms of gaining that support. I wanted to ask you about growing up in Toronto as well. So you went to York Memo. What was it like growing up in Toronto? What kind of, like, sports were you into? And, just tell me about that time about growing up in Toronto and especially going to a school like York Memo.
Yeah, York Memo is high school is probably the best time of my life. All my friends and everybody, we all grew up in the same area. Like the area we grew up in was a little tough, but we made the most of it. Obviously, like I kept on the right path, and like I'm playing in the World Cup now, so like I didn't get into the other stuff, the distractions. But yeah, like it was like growing up in Toronto is just anything else. As long as you put your mind to something that you want to do, you can figure it out. You know what I mean? But if you put your mind to something that you don't need to do, then you'll go down that path as well.
Yeah.
But like even then, like I had good support systems in my family. Even my friends didn't really let me get involved in anything, because they knew like I was like their golden child. Like you're gonna go play cricket. Don't worry about us. But yeah, even York Memorial, we used to have like cricket in the schools.
Oh, wow.
And like so like even during that time they had like proper cricket. We used to have tournaments, and we used to rep York Memorial. And like even now, like I'm supposed to go back and speak at the school. Unfortunately, this part of the school burned down, but like they're at George Harvey right now. So like hopefully when I come back, a few of the teachers want me to come back and speak. So it's a good moment.
I was gonna say that would be such an amazing moment, right, to be able to go back. I also see in the notes here that you love to shout out Weston Road. So
because that's where I grew up, right?
Where in Weston did you grow up? Because that's
Jane and Weston, right by the 7-Eleven, the buildings behind there at Emmett. That's where we grew up. Like that's where I still live there till like with my parents. My brother owns a condo on the side there too, so all the family's still there. But my majority of my life has been on there. So like I always shout it out because some people might not understand coming from there is a hard situation to get out of, and like to be playing at the biggest stage of cricket. There's nothing bigger than a World Cup in majority any sports. So I always got to make sure like if I can do it from here, you can do it from anywhere as well. You know what I mean? You just got to put your mind to it and make sure you stay focused and stay on the right path. That's why I always shout it out, because you always got to remember where you come from.
No, absolutely, man. Damn.
Yeah.
No, I was from a little bit more south, Weston and Lawrence. But
similar right there, 5 minutes. Yeah.
Similar vibes.
That's where we go for all our Somali foods, and the Tim Hortons right there is all crazy all the time. Sierra Marchand is there too, actually, and then everything is like Weston's collegiate. That's our rival school. You don't really get along with them, and George Harvey. But man, the whole area, like you represent from where you're from. Because then if some kid sees this podcast, or some kid sees me doing an interview or see me scoring runs, they could be like, oh, he's from where I'm from, so I can do it. And not just in cricket, but like anything, basketball, school, whatever they're into.
No, I was so happy to see that in the notes and hearing you talk about it, because like there's certain like landing spots, right, when immigrants come to Canada for the first time, you know what I mean? And like sometimes it gets a bad rap, you know what I mean, because like people make jokes or whatever. Honestly, some of them, like maybe sometimes it's true, but realistically, like I always really value and cherish these type of spaces, because like it's a shared experience, it's a really welcoming experience, and that's where you get exposed to like a sport like cricket is like so international, right? It's like a global sport, and the only reason the sport even became so big is because of sort of the global migration that took place. And so it's actually really awesome that you grew up down the road and now you're playing at the World Cup. That's awesome. So You mentioned growing up in Toronto as well, so obviously, I'm sure you're a Leafs fan. I'm sure you're a Raptor fan. I was going to ask you in terms of just heartbreaking moments. If you got like a couple of heartbreaking moments that comes to the top of your mind when it comes to being just a Toronto sports fan in general.
Oh man, honestly, what Leafs losing every year is heartbreak. To be honest, because especially this year too, they had a really good team. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But something happens in the playoffs, and we always catch Boston first round or second round or something, and they just figure something else. Like, I don't know what it is. To be honest, one of the heartbreak was Kawhi leaving us, because I felt like when Kawhi, I know it wasn't like a moment on the court, but that if he stayed, we probably had a chance to repeat or at least compete for a repeat.
Of course.
So that I will say, the Blue Jays losing in those series a few years ago as well. Yeah. We had a really good team, and I think we lost into the division finals. Those ones, but I think Kawhi leaving was really big for us because after we couldn't compete the same way, obviously without Kawhi. But that was a very heartbreaking moment, also, for sure.
Yeah, no, we showed him all the love. Like, I don't know if you could throw a better parade for him.
No, he would have been like the prime minister.
Opened up the whole city. Yeah, we would have made him prime minister. Like, no
problem.
No,
we would have made. Some countries have prime minister. Some countries have prime minister and presidents. We would have made a president position for him.
That's fine.
I'm
totally happy with that.
Man.
Governor General, whatever, man. Whatever
I used to
want,
when we were watching the basketball series, I used to send DMs to these players, right? If they did bad stuff, I'm like, brother, please. They would never reply, obviously, but like, brother, please, help us out. You know what I mean? Do something. Stand in the corner, shoot the three. But I said Kawhi, you could have had all the Osmo shawarmas you wanted if you stayed.
I think you could have had more than chicken on the rice.
Yeah, you would have had chicken rice mix. You whatever you want, sticks and rice. You want whatever you want, you could have had it.
The combination plate, you could have it all.
Yeah, they had it. They would have had it all.
So I think with Toronto too is growing up in Toronto, you're gonna have rivalries and teams that you kind of want to root against. For me, the Celtics is absolutely one of those teams. Yeah. Even though Raptors never really played the Celtics that much, we met one time I think in 2020 in the bubble, and that was Game 7, whatever. But I just never want to see the city of Boston win, even though they always end up winning. And they're on the cusp right now. Do you got a top 5 most hated teams as a Toronto fan? And it could be across any sports, but teams that kind of burn you.
Boston, I think, is everybody's number one team that nobody likes if you're not from Boston themselves, because honestly, every year you check during this time, there's a Boston team in the semifinal, finals,
whatever
winning
sport.
it. They have a parade every year. Honestly, I'm tired of these people. Even now, they're just 3-0 up on Dallas right now, and it kind of hurts my heart that unless Dallas puts a miracle on and they come back and win it, but I'm gonna have to watch the score or TSN and watch their parade again. You know what I mean? I'm just tired of Boston just coming up. Boston. Tom Brady was there. New England. Boston. Every time. And then
Red Sox, they had a great era.
Oh, yeah. Red Sox. It's they switch teams. Every year, they're baseball, you want to win this year? Okay, you're off. Okay, NHL. Okay, you're off. Let's go here. Other than that, I would say Texas Rangers in that baseball time. I didn't really like them because how they were. I got another one. Old time New Jersey Devils before when Masson and they were playing, and we used to run into New Jersey all the time, and Brodeur used to shut us out all the time. I didn't really like them growing up either. Honestly, those are the teams. It depends. Right now, the Raptors are rebuilding, so there's not really any
can't really hate
rivalries.
anybody.
Yeah, you can't hate anybody. But I'll say those guys is pretty much. Boston is for sure number 1, 100%.
Bro,
those guys. Any jersey they put on, it's just they trouble us for some reason.
It's beef in any sport that we play against Boston.
Any sport, any jersey they put on. You put on the red jersey for the Sox, beat us. The yellow and black, beat us. And then the green, beat us. I don't know what it is. There's something about them.
Man. No, it's great. This is the thing with growing up in Toronto, especially as a sports fan, that you can connect on so many moments. And I think honestly, as cricket grows more and more popular, it's gonna be interesting. As you mentioned, playing the tournaments in the summertime. I was out in Brampton at the CAA Center watching. I think I actually watched one of your matches too. But seriously, it's coming into the culture more and more. And I mean, it's just a great start right now with Canada getting the win at the World Cup. And we just want to wish you the best of luck and just continue to represent for the city, continue to represent for the country. Man, I mean, it would be a hell of an upset if you guys take India.
Yeah. We play India on Saturday, so hopefully if we pull that off, it'd be better. But obviously we want to thank you guys as well, as the media. The only way we can get out there is if the mainstream media supports our sport as well, right? So with that win as well, we got a lot of posts from the mainstream media, and you guys doing a podcast with us. it's still a very big moment for us because it gets our names out there. Like, you know what I mean? If somebody's watching this podcast, they're going to know who I am now. They're going to know there's cricket in Canada, because a lot of people I talk to, they're like, oh, there's cricket in Canada, but they don't know cricket in Canada is probably has the most players playing in the rec leagues.
Yo, it's popping.
Like,
seriously,
like,
go out in the summertime. It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice
They go
out
to
there.
summertime, like cricket leagues. Like, we have so many leagues now. Like, it's definitely, I don't know the facts, but I'm gonna say it's definitely the number one rec sport in Canada right now. Like, recreationally, there's like, even just in Toronto itself, there's like 5, 6, 7 leagues.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy.
How do you get started in one of those leagues if you're somebody who already kind of is familiar with the game or even trying to enter the game of cricket? How would they do so in Toronto? In particular?
Because there's a lot of teams, like even online, you could see teams that are recruiting at the lowest level,
Okay.
and then like you can build up. Like, if you win, you build up to go to like the higher divisions. Obviously, the national guys play in the top division where you compete with each other. But even with like our schedule, it's tough to be playing a lot of domestic cricket. But like if you want to move up, obviously there's so many ways you can contact. Obviously online. A lot of people ask us as well, like if they come newly, like where can we go? We direct them that you can go here.
Yeah.
Some kids have kids they want to join academies. There's like so many academies that you can join as well. It's so much. It's like the structure is there.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We just need more support from the media, support from the government.
Yeah.
That's all we need. Especially like how you said, like with the immigrants that are coming in. Cricket, the majority of them are coming from countries like India or Pakistan or countries from there where a lot of their main sport is cricket.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Brampton is doing a very, very, very good job right now of supporting cricket. And City of Toronto also, I just seen like they put out recently they put out like a survey of how we can make our cricket facilities better. So everybody's coming up slowly.
Yeah, and it's a great place to find community, right? Like that's what sports does the best job of, especially for immigrants coming here. When you're trying to find a community, when you're trying to like to get in somewhere that you're familiar with, like sports is a great way to doing that. So Ray, I appreciate you coming on the show, man.
Well, thank you for having me.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
And we'll check in with you and our dear friend Vivek Jacob in the future time.
My boy Vivi, that's what we call him here, the legend Vivi.